Guys, so this is going to be one of those videos where we discuss about those posts from ToomanyXChromosomes. So this is a bitch posting this. It honestly made me super upset. Now she's talking about those 16-year-old guys beating the shit out of national football teams. And someone really good at one sport isn't like physically superior in all ways. They're just really good at one thing. And since historically men are organizers, designers, and participants in sports events, sports developed specifically to showcase the physical strengths of men. Furthermore, in the US, women were only allowed to participate in most sports a few decades ago. So women's sports are less developed, less popular, and less paid. And in other countries, most sports... Alright, first of all, let me just break this down for you guys. Women are much more interested in reading about a 5 foot, 6 foot, like a 5 foot, 4 foot minor being graved by a 8 foot werewolf with a horse schlong than they are in organizing sports and taking part in sports. Nobody has historically stopped women, or today are stopping women from taking part in these sports. It's rather that women spend the resources that they accumulate in stuff like watching pretty boys dance or reading a billionaire grape a minor. That's what women do. That's what women generally do. They're not interested in sports. They're not interested in sports, let alone female sports. Female-dominated sports. Now she just straight up lies. So when you think about it, female athletes are competing in activities not designed around their physical capabilities, and are often undersupported, underpaid, and mistreated, and then berated when they don't perform as well as men. This isn't to say... Alright, now this is the area I'm just gonna skip. And what if we had sports where extreme endurance, pain tolerance, and smaller stature, greater flexibility, agility, etc. were advantages? Well, there are sports where those are advantages, but you wouldn't like to hear where that goes. Ultramarathons are a very good example of sports where extreme endurance is tolerated. Now, after a certain distance, women indeed start gaining pace above men. But the truth is, there has not been a single ultramarathon where the woman has genuinely beat a man. The records speak for themselves. The records are still held by men. And the thing is, there's also a problem with this data. A majority of ultramarathon finishers are women. Now, this is because women give up when they are bad at something, whereas men don't give up when they are bad at something. So there are a lot of mediocre men in those running events who take part in that activity, even though they are not good at it. Whereas the women who do take part in those activities are only the women who have proven that they are good at that activity. So there's a natural difference right there. And secondly, all the records are held by men. So it still advantages men. Extreme endurance is not a woman's stronghold. Now, they'll just come up with new categories, by the way. They'll now come up with a sport where emotional intelligence is the main factor then. Even then, men are more cooperative in the prisoner's dilemma than women are. Now, pain tolerance, oh my God. I'm just going to play this clip.
Is he going to get up? Can he get up? Can he get up? He does! Oh my goodness! Somehow Fury has managed to get up.
Female fighters submit opponents at 21.1% versus 17.3% for males. Men are much more likely to fight through pain and not submit. So many submissions are reversed in male sports, you don't really see that in female sports. And now here's another thing. There are sports where those other attributes are prioritized above others, specifically gymnastics, or rather the vaults in gymnastics. In gymnastics, the Yurchenko vaults are specifically geared at advantaging women. Yurchenko type vaults, right? So yeah, smaller stature, greater flexibility and agility in smaller spaces. Those are advantages in Yurchenko vaulting, right? And it is indeed true that women are paid higher than male gymnasts. Now, here's the thing: gymnastics itself for the masses. I'm not going to speak for myself, right? I'm not going to tell you that I find gymnastics boring. I don't. But for the majority of people, they find gymnastics boring. They find gymnastics boring, be it men, be it women, and that is the reason gymnastics gets paid less than sports where men have an advantage. Yet, in gymnastics, men are paid lower than women are because men aren't born with a pussy, and that's the and you know, these bitches were complaining about, oh, we think we might have a predatory audience, we think we might have an audience which takes crotch shots. Bitch, shut the fuck up. Your sport isn't interesting to the masses. It is to dweebs like me. I'm interested in that body mechanics and stuff, and that's not because I'm interested in people jumping over a plank, but rather because I'm interested in body mechanics, which in turn is related to me being interested in fencing and stuff like that. Like, people who are interested in your sports aren't even interested because of the sports itself, like me. They're interested because of the body mechanics, the biomechanics, right? The point is, your sport wouldn't even have an audience if you didn't have a pussy. Now, shut the fuck up and stop complaining about it. Now, there are sports where these are advantages, or at least a subsection of sports, but these are always invisible to women like this, because they simply fail to understand that these activities, compared to football, compared to something like cricket, compared to something like baseball, compared to something like soccer, compared to something like rugby, these things are less interesting for the masses. And who is stopping women from taking part in these activities? Teenage women would rather read about an 8-foot werewolf graping a 4-foot miner than take part in organizing sports, even sports where women have an advantage. So it's your problem. So historically, the reason that most men were organizers, it's not like women were stopped. It's not like women were told, you're not going to take part in this. What are you going to do? Now, that was not the case. It's not the case today. The thing is, most people taking part in sports are men. Most people taking part in sports are men, and you guys already know this. Women have much higher disgust sensitivity. Women have much higher chances that they will not take risks, and that is seen in the marathons itself, right, which I talked about. When they know that they're going to fail, they simply don't take a chance. So of course, if majority of men are taking part in those activities are going to be geared around men. Even then, men did make space for women's activities when they finally came through. They are still paid higher, but the funny thing is, women would still complain about it. Women themselves don't watch gymnastics and instead complain about how their audience is predatory, right? How it's a predatory audience when men do watch their sports. And this is major projection on their end as well. Let me tell you guys why. Because I watch women's sports. Yeah, sure, if it's a particularly hot javelin thrower, you know which one I'm talking about. If it's a particularly hot opener in Indian cricket, if it's a wicket keeper in the English side, if it's a striker in the American football team, yeah, I'm gonna simp for them. Like, I'm not in that sense, not gonna pay for their OnlyFans or shit like that. Like e-simping, you know, like dropping those kinds of lewd comments from from all accounts. I'm just kidding, I don't do that shit. But of course, I do spend more time than I would have otherwise to watch their strokes and shots at the goal, and you know, their throws than I would otherwise, or their vaults. But irrespective of that, the truth is, I watch these sports because I'm interested in the sport itself. I'm interested in the competition itself. While women are largely not interested in the competition itself, and I think Tails points this out, women are much more interested in the personal life and personal activities of certain racer or certain athlete. They are much more interested in the personal, connections of the crew. They are interested in that guy. They're not interested in the sports. And this is directly from this links directly from those kinds of fangirling that they do over those pretty boy dances and stuff like that. They're not really interested in the activity. They're not interested in the song. They're not interested in the dance. They're interested in the guy doing the song and the dance. That is why Ed Sheeran doesn't have a female fan base fingering themselves over him, but all of those South Korean pretty boys do. That's a fact, guys, and that directly rolls over into female sports interests. Most women are simply not interested in sports, and there's nothing that men have done to cause that. And if most sports are designed around men, that's because most participants are men. When women finally come across, their sports are given value. But again, there are simply not enough men willing to watch those sports. Even then, the majority of the viewers are men, and these sports still get funding because of men and not because of women. If anything, women should be kind of grateful that any of their sports get funding because of men and not because of other women. But of course, you would rather have too many X-chromosomes comment on this shit. Mentally retarded people like people on this subreddit. And of course, they're gonna cope about endurance and pain tolerance. Superior pain tolerance, bro. Superior pain tolerance. There's not a single woman capable of causing as much pain as Deontay Wilder in any female sports. Yet women are more likely to submit. Get more likely to get knocked out than men are. So I don't know what these people are talking about. They're gonna come up with new attributes, imaginary attributes which women are superior at, like emotional intelligence, and make a sport out of that. Oh, let me tell you what sport women are superior at: whining and nagging at home and abusing their oofy-doofy husbands. That's the sport women are superior at compared to men. And of course, there's something interesting. There's a minor fact I'm gonna drop. Very few women have done. I think it's like only two women have done Yamashita type vaults, and only one woman has done, I can't exactly remember the other type of male vault, but only one woman has done it. Whereas 3 to 5 men consistently do Yurchenko type vaults. So men are quite capable of doing, top level elite men are quite capable of doing the faults and activities women can do, but top level women simply cannot do the activities that men can do. They simply cannot try, they simply don't risk it. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys. And of course, don't let people demonize you. This is the problem. Every single activity which is male is demonized, instead of ever asking women for accountability that maybe they do not take part in what they quote unquote find interesting. Women, let's say there are activities where women have a physical advantage. Are women interested to take part in those activities? Are women interested to watch other women do those activities? Or are women more interested in watching pretty boys dance? Or are they more interested in reading an 8-foot werewolf raping a 4-foot minor? That's what they are interested in. That's as blunt as it can be. So see you guys in the next one, and don't let people demonize your interests, and see you in the next one, guys.